Welcome back to the late night edition of Extra Points here. JMU just finished their first FBS game into the Sun Belt, 44-7 against Middle Tennessee. Joining me today is co-sports editor for The Breeze, Grant Johnson. Unfortunately, Maddie Harissa couldn't be here with us, celebrating her 21st birthday, so happy birthday to her. Grant, what are your overall thoughts coming away from the day and today's big victory?
I mean, it was just an utter domination from start to finish. I was honestly pretty surprised. I won't lie, I thought Middle Tennessee would come out of here and win the game, but from the get-go, it was all JMU. They had really good field advantage almost on every punt return. They were getting the ball in the plus territory, and Todd Centeio, man, was he electric through the air, on the ground. It was just really kind of JMU's defense only gave up, I think it's 112 yards at the end of the game. It's just offense, defense, special teams, all three phases, just kind of utter domination by the Dukes.
Yeah, it was definitely a surprise. Me and you both picked for the editor's choices Middle Tennessee to win. Boy, was that a shocker, 44-7. I think Vegas odds had JMU favored 5.5 points, so 44-7 was not predicted. You talk about Todd, 6 touchdowns, tying Cole Johnson's record, who he did it twice last year for most passing touchdowns in a game. He also led the team in rushing yards. What can you say about Todd, and how electric was he tonight?
I mean, he was extremely electric. I mean, it's just another added element to the JMU offense that maybe they haven't seen a little bit. Last year with Cole and in the spring season, just not a lot of threat on the ground. I mean, Cole would rush a little bit, but not too much. Todd, it was another element. It was read options, it was him going off the edge for 20-plus yards. And then it was, Middle Tennessee would crowd the box, try to stop Todd and Percy J. Obasay and Latrell Palmer at running back. And then that would open up Chris Thornton and Reggie Brown for one-on-one opportunities, and we saw Todd take advantage of those really all game. It's just pick your poison. Do you want to put 8 in the box and try to stop Todd, or do you want to lay back and try to stop Chris Thornton and Reggie Brown? And I mean, it seems like both options can go really well for the Dukes right now.
Yeah, it was definitely electric. I think this is one of the first dual-threat quarterbacks JMU's had in a while. You talk about Reggie Brown, Chris Thornton. Last year we saw a lot Antoine Wells, Chris Thornton. Now it's Reggie Brown, Chris Thornton. How great was that duo tonight?
They were great, and they're just taking advantage of the opportunities they had. And I mean, I asked Chris this in the presser. I mean, he's 5'8". He may look like a small guy, but he does not play small. He's going up, he's grabbing it. One-on-one coverage is it almost feels like the old saying it's a 50-50 football. With Chris, it feels like it's 70-30 or 80-20. I mean, he's coming down with it almost every time. Reggie Brown really surprised me. I mean, I thought Terrence Green may be that number 2 option. Terrence Green, a transfer in from Monmouth, was pretty quiet today, but Reggie Brown really took advantage of the opportunities that he had, and now I think for them it's about stacking these and seeing what they can do going forward.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the offense so far, but that defense was really solidified today. Only allowing 10 yards in the first half. That's unheard of in FBS level of competition. What did you see from them, and what stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, Middle Tennessee just really couldn't get it going. It's an offense that's predicated on going up-tempo and going air raid, but they kept going 3 and out, and they could never get that up-tempo going. And JMU is just, they're playing, it's their cliche saying really, but they play fast, physical, and relentless, and it was all night. Middle Tennessee got nothing on the ground game. New transfer in from Marshall at defensive tackle, Jamari Edwards, played great, really stuffed up the Middle Tennessee offensive line. They had a little bit of bulletin board material going into this game. A Middle Tennessee offensive lineman said early in the week that the JMU defensive line is nothing to them, and Isaac Uku said post-game that, yeah, that motivated them a little bit. And it definitely looked like it. There was really nothing on the ground. Really, they ran right, they ran left. There's nothing. Receivers dropped passes. Just overall sloppy offense from the Blue Raiders. And JMU took advantage, kept forcing the punt. They were getting after their quarterback, Chase Cunningham, and it was just, all out of fair. Pretty much the whole game through. There really just wasn't much Middle Tennessee could do on offense.
A lot of great stuff tonight from JMU. Obviously not perfect, though. There's some plays that were left on the field, as we heard Signetti say in the post-game presser. And not to mention the penalties, a couple careless penalties on the team. So I guess looking forward, what does the team need to do to improve?
Yeah, I think Josh, to improve, I think it's really, you talk about the penalties, and those are things that when games get close, you really can't afford. And kind of going back to Isaac Uku, and I talked to him this offseason, he talked a lot about with what Jamie's doing in the weight room, a lot of it's trying to get those little things detailed. And that was really one of their main takeaways during offseason training, because they felt like in North Dakota State last year, there were lapses in discipline, and they left plays on the field. And, there are multiple 15-yard penalties on JMU. Tight end Zach Horton had a late hit out of bounds when it was just kind of ill-advised. It didn't need to happen. And I think going forward, when games are tighter, when it's, instead of 44-7, when it's 17-10 in the fourth quarter, and, JMU's going to battle with App State or whoever, You just can't have those penalties because the room for error is so thin. So, I mean, Cignetti talked about it post-game, but I think really the number one thing is kind of cleaning up those lapses in discipline and those penalties. I think some of those plays, Todd was very self-critical of himself after the game, and he was quick to say that I could have had 8 touchdowns. I think Todd will clean those up, but the penalties, I mean, that's something to see going forward, Norfolk State and then so on.
Yeah, obviously a great game by JMU today, 44-7 win against Middle Tennessee. They play Norfolk State next right here at Bridgeport Stadium at 4 p.m.